So much. And I just want to say before we start, oh, hi, Anna.
Sorry for my random entry from a bedroom.
No, it's
That's
okay.
where I
Thank you for joining. So everybody, this is Anna Hickerson. She is the program director for our Master of Science in Medical Device Engineering. I don't know, Anna, you could say hello. I'll let you introduce yourself, I guess.
Yeah, I know I look a bit casual right now, but I am a faculty member at KGI. I teach engineering in the medical device engineering program, and I'm just here to sort of hang out and help along any way I can with this workshop.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm going to talk a little bit about just how to expand your network today. And this could be applied to whatever industry that you go into. Obviously, Keck Graduate Institute, we are a graduate school. So the programs that we have are more focused in the life sciences and the biotech and medical device industry. So there'll be some examples of that. And since we have Anna here, you can always hop in and, kind of make comments. So if you want to include anything that's specific to networking with engineers within the medical device industry, feel free to, kind of jump in whenever you'd like.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's pretty general. Also, I'm going to put in the chat here the Google Doc if you weren't on the event yesterday or didn't get the chance to sign in, or if you're just joining us today, you can sign in on that Google Doc sheet, and that is just for me to be able to follow up with all of you and to get some communication from KGI should you be interested in that. But without further ado, I guess we'll get started here. I'm going to share my screen. Oh, and one more thing I'd like to mention too, if anybody has questions or comments or wants to kind of, start a discussion, always feel free to, raise your hand or say something in the chat, or you could always unmute yourself. I won't be offended. Otherwise, if you're not comfortable doing that and you do have a question, you could always privately message. I believe Brian will be moderator. Yeah, okay. Looking at the chat, so he could kind of field the questions to me if you didn't want to, say it in front of everyone. Okay. So can everybody see my screen okay?
Yep.
Good. Okay, perfect. All right, so welcome to Expanding Your Network. My name is Courtney Handle. And I do represent KGI, or Keck Graduate Institute. I work in the admissions department and I do outreach for the school. And today we're going to talk a little bit just about some networking 101, elevator pitches, virtual networking, and then different types of events and opportunities to be able to expand your network. But with that being said, I just want to give a brief overview of Keck Graduate Institute, or KGI. We are located in Claremont. You'll see, in that tiny map in the corner where the KGI square is. That's where we are. We're part of the consortium of the Claremont colleges, and as part of the consortium and a student at KGI, you do have access to centralized facilities and resources through that. But we very much act as a separate institution, and we're very specific in preparing students for careers within research, industry, and healthcare. So if you see those gears working, I kind of like to point out the graphic that if you think of everything from a research question or identifying an unmet medical need to when you're maybe a physician or a pharmacist and using these technologies to diagnose and treat patients, and then everything in between of really what happens to actually translate an idea to an actual product. Those are kind of how I identify those three buckets, and those are the programs, or how the programs really fall into those categories at KGI. But the really unique thing about our institution is that regardless if you're in a research program or maybe you're getting a PharmD, there's still going to be that biotech and industry exposure woven through your coursework and through different industry-sponsored projects, as well as internships and tons of speakers on campus and networking opportunities, so that you can really build your skill set to work in a variety of settings.
Could I ask a question, just because I wasn't here on the call yesterday? I'm wondering about the people on the call. So this is an engineering group at UCSB, am I right? Mm-hmm. So what types of engineering are you guys studying? Any particular category?
I can speak. I am currently an undergrad in mechanical engineering.
Okay.
And I'm an undergrad in electrical engineering.
Okay. And I'm seeing some answers too in the chat. So kind of a variety of things. Just from those few responses, I can say that there's probably different interests. Yeah, anyway, I'm sorry. Let's keep going. Courtney, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to know who we had on the call.
Absolutely. No, thanks for asking that. Yeah, so it's definitely good to know, you know, who we're speaking to, but it seems like it's a variety. I mostly was highlighting the medical device engineering program since we're speaking to engineers, but just to give a snapshot of everything that we have to offer. Then you have the research programs, the MS in Applied Life Sciences, as well as translational medicine for students that want to go into R&D or go on to med school or get their PhD. Then the industry-focused programs, we have a Master of Business and Science, which is really like an all-encompassing sort of business, or you can think of it as like MBA style classroom, but with a focus in the biotech industry. So it's building on your science or engineering background, but teaching you more about the business and how we really bring ideas and products to market in this industry. Engineering in biopharmaceutical processing is really teaching students to become process engineers and commercialize biologics and you know, complex.
So that might be for the chemies on the call if you're interested in that kind of stuff. So not just the cell culture side of it, but also the downstream, like scale up manufacturing, which is a lot like chemical engineering, plant design and things like that.
Right.
Like manufacturing plant, not, although I guess you guys design plants as well. My background is mechanical engineering, by the way. And I'm sorry, Courtney, if I interrupt a lot here. I wanted to point out that one of the things that already came up, right? I asked you guys what major, so that's not a tough question. But I would say the first tip to networking is getting your first 10 seconds in. So have an answer ready. Like if someone says, "Hey, where are you from? Who are you?" Like, don't hesitate. Have that ready because you know who you are already and what you want, hopefully. Go on, sorry.
I appreciate it. Yeah, and then we have a MS in human genetics and genomic data analytics. This is a really great program. It's kind of blending those that maybe are interested in precision medicine or even using genomic data and working with large patient data sets to identify trends and make recommendations for companies that are developing you know, more precision medicine and point of care diagnostics, as I had mentioned.
So the computer science folks might be interested in that one just because it's a great application of computer science into healthcare.
Absolutely.
And they make good money.
Definitely. And it's like a one-of-a-kind program. There's really like no other ones out there like it. And, you know, we're emerging every day with new advances in genetics. So something to consider. And medical device engineering. And I'll let you program.
So yeah, I'm the program director for this one. Medical device engineering includes a whole range of stuff, that anything that's not a drug that is used to diagnose, treat, or mitigate an illness or prevent one, including diagnostics. So with COVID around, I mean, I think all of these programs apply to it, but in terms of the devices, we have all the COVID diagnostic testing, the preventative measures, and from things as simple as masks to sterilization systems and whatnot, and to on the treatment side, of course, is all the healthcare equipment required to support their treatment.
Great. And then we
By
have,
the way, don't come to an interview in a t-shirt and bad hair, despite what I did today.
from here, your hair looks pretty good.
I'll blame COVID and keep going.
Oh, okay, and then we have our healthcare related programs. So genetic counseling, PharmD program, and then postbaccs that prepare students to apply to PA school or medical school. And then we're really excited about our new programs that are coming, our doctorate in occupational therapy. We have a PA program that we're starting in 2022. And then we also have our med school, which hopefully our incoming class will be in the next few years, maybe 2023, we're projecting, but we'll keep you posted. So we're excited about that. And then if any of these programs sound interesting, obviously, you could always connect with myself. Anna can tell you more about the MSMDE program, or you can look on our website. There's tons of information there. And also, I mentioned this yesterday, the KGI ebook. If you want to know some more context behind these job titles that you can get with a degree through KGI, this is a good resource for you to download this PDF that has the job title and then a highlight of a KGI alum who works as that position in industry, and just a little Q&A about how their career path went, what they like about their job, what they find challenging, things like that. So that's always a good resource if you're if this information is new to you and you're interested in learning more. Okay, so I mentioned this yesterday as well, but we're going to focus on the social capital piece, but 4 factors that lead to a good job. This is true for the life sciences industry and for biotech, but also for whatever industry you go into. And that's going to be skill sets. So those can be more technical skills like proficiency in a software language, let's say. The reputation of your degree. So not only did you come from a well-known school or a nationally ranked institution, or not really just thinking of that, but more so what is the reputation of the degree in the industry that you want to go to. So definitely something you want to keep in mind when you consider your graduate school options is, what is the, how do they really view the skills and the experience that you get in the program that you're in.
So commenting here, I don't know if you're going to bring this up, but your classmates are your friends and your future coworkers, but they're also right now, unfortunately, your competitors for certain jobs. And if you are applying for positions, you're going to have similar skill sets and the same degree, and hopefully some job experience, although that might be pretty similar too. So that social capital piece, that's what Courtney's going to talk about, is going to set you apart in that process.
Right. Absolutely. And that's what's really going to open doors for you and just even give you, I'll talk about it in a moment, but just the knowledge that you need to for being, kind of abreast with what's going on in the industry that you want to go into. So yeah, social capital, that's your network. It's who you know, and it can often be crucial in obtaining your next job. So it's really important to have connections with folks that can make recommendations for you, who can refer you to maybe some of their colleagues or people that they know. It's just kind of goes on and on and on, like a chain reaction, right? For you to get referrals for jobs or for experiences, or just connecting with new people that could have an impact on your career development in the future, if not right now. And the example that we have here is for hiring managers in San Diego within the biotech industry. You can see that it's super dense, right? So Anna, do you want to comment on this maybe?
Yeah, so like if each of these senior managers are a node on the graph, you've got, there's a few outliers, but the majority are connected to each other. And those connections take a while to build. One of the frustrating things I think for engineers about networking is like, it doesn't feel concrete. It's a soft skill that takes time to develop and learn. And there's not like I finished my task moment. But it really is. If you think about the number of people, if you think about people that have jobs you like, and you ask them how did they get that job, they'll almost never tell you like, oh, well, I applied online through Indeed.com. You'll usually hear like, I knew someone who knew someone. And it's like, why don't I know that someone? Well, to know that someone, unfortunately, is well, not unfortunately, but the truth is it's a lot of work, and it's not always distinctly like, check, I did my job today. But here you guys are on this call already and part of a club. So you have your current students, but you could also reach out if you just want to start. Reach out to former club members. You probably, your club organization probably has records. Figure out if any of them have jobs in that are similar to what you'd like to explore, and start by talking to them.
Right.
It's a good buddy network.
Yeah, so hopefully the goal is to be a little bit, more in like the center of this diagram, and in the future, and undergrad is obviously a good place to start building those connections. Oops, whoa, sorry. So this actually is
That's the one.
similar to what Anna was just mentioning, is the standard job process. And you guys actually heard me talk a little bit about this yesterday, although I didn't have the slide. But look, this is you, right? If you're applying for a job, and could be thousands of applicants depending on the company, and it's submitted, if you do, through the black hole of the internet, or just through Indeed or whatever. They are submitted electronically. Sometimes if you don't have keywords on your resume, then you could be automatically discarded, and the recruiters and the HR department never even get to see your resume, right? So that's why we were talking about yesterday, the importance of having those keywords, and making sure that you're tailoring your resume for all the for pretty much each position you apply to. But
also a lot of work.
Yes,
necessary.
It is. You'll have like 20 versions of your resume saved, depending on the job, right? So, but if you do make it past that initial screen, and the HR team is reviewing the resume, then you have to get to the interview. So it just goes to show that there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of things. Companies are looking for a way to almost just wean you out and disqualify you. So one way, besides having a strong resume, is also expanding your network to get around that process, and kind of not worry about, do I have all those keywords on there and things like that. So it's really important to network, and as Anna was mentioning, could kind of lead to your next job. So to sum that up, when it comes to your career choices, you want to make sure that you're definitely being strategic in the degrees that you're considering, or graduate programs you're considering, if you are considering graduate school. What sorts of organizations are you involved with? What sorts of experiences are you getting, so that you can be exposed and continue to grow that network, and develop the skills you need to be successful. So could be a complex decision for some. Maybe for some it's a little bit easier if you have a really clear idea of what you want to do, but most of us don't, and that does change along the way. So just try and kind of hone it down, and keep kind of building on that with those sorts of experiences. So when it comes to networking, think of it as an ongoing, mutually beneficial relationship. So I think that people have really think of networking sometimes as, what am I going to get out of this? Does this person have a job for me or not? You want to avoid thinking like that, and thinking, okay, I'm here to ask you for a favor, and just keep in mind what the actual benefit of the networking is to you, which is improving your skill set, potentially, being in the know for the industry, having an idea or grasp on what market trends are. Maybe you'll identify a potential mentor, and gain access to resources for career development.
I'll chime in another note here. So at the beginning, it can be really hard if you're trying to think about like, well, what do I offer them, right? Because you're kind of looking to higher ups to hire you, and or expose you to other people. One thing is to think of it kind of like a professional friendship, right? You can ask your friends for favors, but you don't start it that way. The other thing is, people love talking about themselves, and if if what you're giving them is the opportunity to pass their wisdom in a sense, people often actually appreciate that. You'd be surprised if you just, if you respect their time and right up front say like, I'm not going to ask you for a job, I want to know about your job, or like something about you, they'll be way more responsive and give you like a 10 or 15-minute call. You know, it's worth it. And then later you might come across them again, or you might go to a conference or an expo and run into them, and they'll introduce you to somebody, and it's wild. It's very yeah, very intangible, but it works, I promise.
Definitely true. So that's why, you know, it's important to keep that in mind, is that don't just connect with people who are hiring at this moment. You know, you want to think of it as just fostering a relationship for gaining something down the line, and offering potentially something to them, right? And as Anna mentioned, I was going to use that example, is you don't just walk up to someone and say, hi, can I be your best friend, not ever having spoken to them before, or, you know, let's be best friends and do this for me. So it starts with, you know, just starting the conversation, introducing yourself, and just asking them a couple things about themselves. I think I have actually that in one of the next slides. But just some, you know, and I'm sure most of you know this, but ways to connect and build your social capital, obviously joining professional organizations and attending professional meetings and conferences or other networking events. Volunteering is a really good way also to meet people and connect, and to also just show that you are, you know, you like getting involved, that you're, you know, you like to help, and just expanding your resume as well. And then utilizing LinkedIn. I have a slide about that as well.
So right now it's hard to attend in person, but like one of the things that I would do is, and I am not an outwardly, like I'm more of an introverted person, and it took me a long time to get over some of my anxieties about it, but just sit down at a table that's not the people you came with, for lunch, for example, right? And start a conversation. On the volunteering and other stuff, I also want to say, like, sort of that enthusiasm about sharing your goals, or like what kind of industry you're excited with. You'll run into strangers, not necessarily strangers, but in settings that you wouldn't expect. And that person isn't necessarily, you know, you're at a grocery store is kind of a silly example, but you're somewhere and you're talking to someone, and you know, and they'll be like, oh, my son works doing that. So one of my activities in my position is to find speakers for various events, because we do a lot of those, and part of that is networking, to get people to give their time to do this stuff. I was just at the library, and she's like, oh, my son works in that industry, and I was like, oh, would he want to talk to me? And there you go, that happened, and it actually turned out to be a really good resource. So the librarian wasn't the right person, but because I was happily talking about everything with some, you know, with some social cues, don't go on forever either. But anyway, yeah, so those, keep that enthusiasm, that 10 to 15 seconds of like what it is you're excited about, so that you have stuff to bring up.
Yeah, I mean, and opportunities to network are all around you, not just I need to go to a networking professional organization event. I mean, those are great things to attend. That's why I listed them. But, you know, just to Anna's point, I mean, you could be, I was boarding a flight and connected with somebody who, you know, I stayed in touch with, and, you know, we kind of have a thing going right now, but you can meet anyone, anywhere, and you never know that how it will benefit you in the future. So just always be open to just connecting, speaking with people, and presenting yourself in a pretty professional way. But when it comes to LinkedIn, because I this was one of the things that I did want to discuss. It's such a good tool, or even other social media outlets, or professional networking outlets, but LinkedIn seems to be one of the most popular. And make sure that you are establishing your first step, establishing your profile. Think of it kind of like a resume, because there is the opportunity to put your job experience and specific skills you have, things like that. Start by connecting with people you know. Make sure that when you're sending a request that you customize the messages. Once you start kind of building your network of the people that you know, then someone might connect you with someone else they know, you can also do that by joining and participating in groups or participating in ongoing discussions that are important to you or in your field of study. Connect with people in organizations that interest you. And when you meet someone, connect with them afterwards or ask them, can I connect with you on LinkedIn, and make sure that you customize that message.
Yeah, and that customized message doesn't have to be long. It's just it's just, instead of a random request, it's like, hey, I liked your talk at such and such. So they know the context of why you're trying to connect. So it doesn't feel like just somebody shopping for links.
Right. I think the next slide, I'll talk a little bit about like cold calling in a way. But if you do want to, a good place to start if you're not sure who to reach out with or start networking with is really people that hold the titles of positions that you're interested in obtaining yourself, or where you see yourself, hold positions of the jobs that you're applying for, and obviously to the organizations that would be more of interest to you. So just reaching out and connecting and saying, hey, I was interested in your background and going into something like this, and would love to connect and find out a little bit more. So that's a good place to start, is just kind of focusing on who are the people that are kind of close by that hold that position, and you can learn a little bit more. So yeah, utilizing, when it comes to calling it cold calling here, but utilize the internet for contact info, and make sure you do your research before connecting with people. Sorry, my thing keeps getting in the way of my screen. Okay, do your research before connecting and speaking with people. So if you are connecting to someone who is a hiring manager, or I don't know, someone who is at a career fair and a recruiter for a company you're interested in, you want to make sure that you know a thing or two about the company, or if you're interested in speaking just about their background, that you show that you actually looked at their profile. And then also start by introducing yourself. You could just say, hi, I am so-and-so, I'm studying this, I've done this and am interested in doing this, and then establish your intent. So to Anna's point earlier, nobody wants to be contacted by a stranger for a favor, but make them feel good by requesting to speak more about their interesting career paths, and then offer to help or offer your expertise if you can, when you can. So yes, people will be, and I've done this myself, tons of times on LinkedIn. I've even called people before, and have said, for personal development when I was job searching, and just said, I'm interested in how you transitioned into that position. Love to connect and chat a little bit further about it. People are so receptive to that, and do really like to talk about themselves, or even might turn into a venting session for them. But it's just always good to kind of start by just start the connection, right? It's like a friendship or any relationship, dating, whatever. You start by just kind of breaking the ice, showing interest in what they have to say, and that you value their insight, and then kind of going from there. So chat over the phone. If we're able to meet in person, you can always meet someone for coffee. You can do a virtual, obviously a Zoom, and then follow up and check in periodically.
And on that, people are so much more used to Zoom. It's way easier.
Yeah.
I did used to have people come for coffee, but that's it's going to be hard work on somebody to drive, right? So now people are just used to doing this. And I'm just on the side, Courtney, by the way, so I'm just giving them ideas that they can look at later of random things to try as you're speaking.
No, I really appreciate it. Thank you. And yeah, so maybe you meet somebody tomorrow. They don't they don't have a job for you, that you just break the ice, you have a chat, then, maybe 6 months down the line, oh, how was your winter? How's your holiday season? Just check in, like, just completely unrelated to their job, just say, hey, how are your holidays, right? Just checking in and keeping in touch, whatever. And then you never know, eventually something will come up and they'll remember you, right? So you're kind of like building that like pipeline or foundation, I don't know if that's the right word to say, for when, things will click. But there is the elevator pitch that is appropriate for a lot of settings as well. So again, doing your research, know your audience, right? In doing a lot of these career fairs and having the one-on-one virtual sessions this fall, especially, I do notice that some students will come on, they'll say their elevator pitch, and it's completely unrelated to anything that is biotech or life sciences or KGI. So I can imagine if speaking to potential employers that that they're kind of just doing this all-encompassing sort of speech. So just know who your audience is. And make sure it's relevant. Keep it short and sweet, 30 seconds maybe. Be confident in yourself. So no one's there to judge you. It's as very much so awkward for the person or uncomfortable for the person on the receiving end as it is for the person who has to like actually put themselves out there. We're all rooting for the person who's speaking to you to, to be confident and to be comfortable, and so that is something to just practice in front of a mirror or whatever, and you're not being judged by it necessarily, so just have confidence in your experience, and you best, right? So and then include, your name, field of study, 1 to 2 relevant skills, an impressive relevant experience, and a little bit about what you're looking for. So this I actually got off a handshake as an example, but it says, I'm Luke. I'm a software engineer with a background working with high growth e-commerce startups in the LA area. However, now I'm looking for an opportunity that will bring me closer to my family in Raleigh. Specialize in iOS and have 4 years of experience. And I can't see the bottom there, but you get the C++. So in this case, Luke had mentioned that he's looking for the opportunity to move closer to Raleigh. So obviously the person that he's speaking to is an employer that's in that area who may initially have thought, oh, you're from LA, you probably don't want to move to Raleigh, right? So
yeah, that's by the yeah, that's so actually sometimes employers worry about moving or you not taking the job seriously. I think it's kind of unfair in certain situations where they're like, well, I don't think they'd actually be interested, so we're not gonna bother. So you have to make sure that if there's something that feels like you wouldn't be interested, whether it's moving to a new city or a different topic than what you've done projects in, that you express that you are in fact interested in that and want to go there. And then in the comments I was writing, so this particular example, this person already has the 4 years of experience, and just like, again, it's like, how do I get, it's the catch-22 or chicken and the egg or whatever. You can talk about other things. You can talk about what you like, projects you've done that are more like school projects, and say like, if I had the chance, I would, this is what I would expand it to. Like if you're going up to a company at a career fair or on a Zoom fair, whatever, you can say like, oh, I saw a story about, and I think I just used XYZ up here in the chat but I found this story interesting. Can you tell me about it, or how has it affected your company, or is it something that's you guys are worried about, or like, and a lot of times you can just read a title and be like, just before going up to the company, if it's somebody you're excited about, read their news, not just their like what they do, and then you can say yeah, how does it affect them, and they'll find it very that you've displayed some sort of research and interest and stuff, right?
Definitely. And I actually, like, attending some of these conferences this semester virtually. One that I just did actually with SWE, and I'm representing a graduate school, but I'm getting all these incoming messages that look like this, and they're kind of, you can tell that the students are just throwing spaghetti at a wall and seeing what sticks, right? And I, that's fine, but for elevator pitches, just like my experience this semester, virtually, maybe this isn't the best approach, because I was getting a little bit inundated, and I'm imagine that some of the bigger companies that actually have jobs available, they're probably getting paragraphs upon paragraphs upon paragraphs upon paragraphs, and some of which aren't necessarily like as aligned with the positions that they're looking to fill. So in that case, I think that it's definitely beneficial, and a way to set yourself apart is exactly what Anna said. And I'd seen some students do this where they're like, let's talk about something different, and just ask a question about something that you saw. Like if you look on a company's website and see that there's something new, a project that or a program that they're building out, ask about that, or how they're managing with with the virtual transition, or I don't know, that's pretty broad, but you get the point. So that actually is a way to set yourself apart, and being in a group chat at a conference and seeing the response from recruiters of those who didn't just throw an elevator pitch out, but actually asked like a meaningful question. It was pretty interesting. So I would definitely recommend doing that for sure, especially in these virtual like environments and chats. And get involved on your campus. I mean, this is a way to expand your network now. Research opportunities on campus, talk to your professors, establish relationships with faculty, with your advisors, your career services staff. I mean, they're connecting with employers all the time, so they're really good folks to be in touch with and to pop in and say hello to, and even after you graduate, and see if they had spoken to someone recently that they could connect you with. Attend industry talks, info sessions, career and grad fairs, etc. Just any event where you're in a different sort of setting that you can network. And your alumni network as well. I'm sure that you guys have access to that. So that's another way to kind of you're not kind of going up to a stranger saying, can we be friends? But it's like, a friend of a friend of a friend. So, hey, let's talk. So it's just a little bit easier to network with people that have graduated from the same institution, obviously, and just get involved, period, outside of campus, whatever you can get involved in. And that's not just to expand the network, but for all those other things, to get some experience, to figure out what you like and what you don't like, and that way you can be more strategic again with how you approach your career development, and being focused in your networking efforts, things like that. So concluding summary: be strategic about your career choices. When it comes to graduate school, understand the different educational options, and what career paths they lead to. Make sure that you're utilizing this time in undergrad to investigate different career options. See if you can get internships. You can interview, again, folks that hold that job title in industry, and potentially seek out a mentor. And consider joining the biotech industry. There's tons of career options available, even if you don't want to be a scientist, as it states.
Yeah. So on the talk to your professors one as well, that a lot of the same stuff applies there. If you're going to want, if you do want to apply to a grad school, or you want a letter of recommendation from a professor, you kind of have to build that relationship a little bit earlier. It's very hard to say, like, write a letter or recommend someone if you only know them from how their homework assignments look. So but it's also awkward to just like walk up after class and like, hey, what's up? I'm in your class, right? So most faculty have to give seminars every once in a while, or they have students that give seminars, and you can get free cookies and coffee at the same time out of it. Join a couple of those and then see their face. And I was like, oh, I was just kind of interested in that, and I'm also in your class. And then suddenly you have an opening, right? And you got a cookie. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So some of the ideas I wrote out while Courtney was talking, is a lot of this is just practice. So like trying to find ways, if you are a very anxious person, start with people that you are close to and feel trust with. So something you can have prepared stuff that you share first, and then maybe work in a group to do that. Like start with the mirror, start with the trusted friend, and then try and do it as a larger group. So as a club, you could say you have a 5-minute window, or even one. Let's say you have regular club meetings. Devote the first minute after the introductions to a minute of a breakout of getting used to talking to each other. There's also some tools. I don't know if they're all paid or not, but where you can record yourself, get a set of talking points or something. Yeah, sort of being prepared with some ideas of things you'd be interested in talking about or feel like you're confident in, and try and say it and see how long it takes you to answer. I don't even like seeing myself recorded, so but it's totally safe because no one's going to see that except your own brain.
There you go. It's practice.
Yeah.
It is.
Another idea I had on there was joining groups. So I know Facebook is sort of, I would say, phasing out at this point in terms of social media. But there's still a lot of groups. I know, like, for a little while I was doing research about occupational therapy and I knew very little about it. So I joined a couple Facebook groups, and I don't, people don't feel like they have time to do stuff, but if you're already, what's fun about social media is people are already kind of addicted already. So if it's just like a little, it's almost like a commercial that serves you instead of them trying to what I'm trying to say is I can see my 30-second speech not going well. Somewhere in my feed where I'm already browsing and being lazy, suddenly I get a piece of information that teaches me something, and I don't have to commit a lot to it, but I'll learn a little bit about occupational therapy right there. And then another time I get another 30 seconds, and sometimes the story will be intriguing enough I click on it and read an article. So you don't have to be sitting there like hardcore studying, but if you embed stuff into your daily routine, you'll end up picking up a lot of tidbits, a lot of talking points that you can tie together, because it's people coming together, but it's also their idea exchange. Yeah, and if there's a company that you're like super excited about, follow them, figure out why you're excited about them, what you would say to somebody in advance if you got a chance to meet with them.
Yeah, you could follow companies on LinkedIn. So it's another way to like be in the know of what's going on and get those things coming up on your feed. So if there is a talking point or something really cool that's going on in the company, and you that's an intro, it's an icebreaker, right? To make a connection.
Yeah. And then this is more of an interview thing. You're always gonna get asked right at the end, do you have any questions for us? Have a question. That's interesting. That's not about when is lunch break or how much will I get paid.
Yep.
Because that's a killer if you don't have a question to ask them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another. I was thinking of this before. place where it's relevant to be in the know about what's going on in the company. I mean, it will really wow a hiring manager if they're like, do you have questions? And you said, I'd actually just read that you guys are doing XYZ. And I was really curious about, it's like, oh, wow, this person actually took the time to research the company. They really actually are invested in this organization, right? So, always have a question.
Or even what their competitors are doing.
Put them on the spot. I mean, you're interviewing them too, in a way,
Yeah.
Um,
I know for biotech and medtech stuff, some of the things worth knowing is like which products are in what stage of the FDA approval process. That's one thing that comes up.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, we're all human, so don't feel like, it's to the, like, I could get a little anxious, or, it's always nerve-wracking approaching someone that you don't know, right? But we're just human. You don't have to be perfect. And just know yourself, try and be confident. And I met with someone recently, and I feel like they were not interested so much into what I had to say as much as they were interested in how perfect they were, kind of perfectly interviewing, I guess you can say, or just how the meeting went. And it was pretty evident. And the questions were more like, I'm asking what I think I should be asking, not I'm actually really interested in this. So don't feel like you have to be perfect. And like, there's like, I don't know, a specific really like style about it. Just be comfortable. And
Easier said than done.
it is. And it takes practice. But just know that it's not always the best thing to just try and be like, perfect and not trip up over your words and all that stuff. Right?
Yeah, I generally just get enthusiastic seeing enthusiasm, and not really at this stage of your career, they're not expecting all that much skills yet. I mean, obviously you're working hard. Engineering is not an easy degree to get, but the specific skills that you'll use at any one job are going to be very, very tuned to that company. Maybe software, maybe a little bit broader. I mean, more able to translate from position to position, but for early stage stuff, having the right kind of like attitude or like examples of things where you went out on not being asked to do something is helpful. If you do a summer internship somewhere, I don't know, like sometimes really smart people come in and they think that they're just going to get told what to do. Like, give me the task, I'll do it. And then you come back and like, what do I do next? Or what should I work on next? And that can actually be, to the person, it might feel like that they're doing a really good job and being really fast about stuff. And on the other end is like, oh my goodness, this intern keeps coming to me every 4 hours and I don't have enough tasks to give them. Like, so sometimes, especially if you're hoping that internship experience will translate to a good recommendation or to a future job, trying to, if they haven't given you enough tasks, look for ways to help without necessarily just simply asking, what should I work on right now? I know some of our students have also, in their internships, they do a lot of this networking stuff within the company. So if you're in that thing, you're like, hey, I'm interning here, and especially if they don't have an internship program where they like actually introduce you to people, seek out to meet some people. And then that's a very quick in, the same way as like an alumni network is a easier in than a random person. An internship is a great way to meet a whole bunch of people all at once, but you might have to make that effort if they don't have like a rock solid program.
To bring it back full circle, some experiences that you can get to start, kind of just figuring out what you want to do and get exposed to some network within some of these areas is through the KGI summer programs. So I had mentioned this yesterday, but I'll say it again that we do have a summer program, most of which are tied to a master's program at KGI or grad program at KGI. And it's a good way for you to one, to just explore if this is something that actually it does interest you, because it takes doing it to really know that. If you do like it, then you do have the added benefit with a lot of our master's programs of getting a letter of recommendation from our faculty and a standardized test waiver for the graduate application. But at the very least, you can put this on your resume. It's a talking point, and it's just for your own sense to know if it's something, you tried it, maybe you want to do it, maybe you don't. And back to really the networking piece as well. KGI does have, that big network within the biotech industry. A lot of the programs will have like industry talks and workshops and opportunities for you to network with different folks in this industry, and as well as just faculty, the faculty at KGI, and potential students, current students, or students that you may be in the program with, should you decide to come. But it's like a hands-on learning experience. Anna, do you want to speak about MDD for a moment?
Yeah, so the Med Device Development Bootcamp is the one that sort of aligns with the MSMDE, and I help organize that as well. So in context to this presentation for like networking opportunities, this past summer we had it online. The previous summer was in person. In the online version, we had it was only 2 weeks, and we still had like 4 or 5 people come in and have conversations, as opposed to like presentations in small groups. The projects were each industry focused, so a couple of them were companies that our faculty were starting. One of them was working on a project so my team worked on a project with a person I happen to know that's doing a startup, and just so getting a little bit of that industry flavor in the projects. And then when we had it in person, which we're hoping to have one session in person this summer, we actually did site visits and got to meet some people. So we went to Edwards, Beckman Coulter, Analytic Jena, Claremont Biosolutions, and Cardia Bio. So we took like 5 different trips in those 4 weeks. So there's a lot of sort of sitting on the bus, but you meet other students from other colleges as well, and just kind of getting used to whether that stuff even interests you. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So the links to apply are on the website with more information about them. But again, yeah, it's a good opportunity, I think. And if you want more information or have questions, you could always reach out to myself, or Anna's always open to to speaking further about
Networking.
I don't want to like everybody email Anna, but like we're pretty open. And yeah, networking. So yeah, networking at KGI it's good opportunity, and our faculty as well. A lot of them do come from industry backgrounds too, so they have their own network. So now you're exposed to their network. So that's a good place to if you are interested in life sciences, to be able to set yourself up for success. Sorry, Anne, I don't have your info on here.
Oh, no, it's fine. I actually put my LinkedIn on the chat, so if anyone wants to get that first step of practice, click there. Say, I met you at the UCSB event, and I'll say yes. If you have specific, I'm actually going to give you I'll give my other contact stuff. If you're interested in actually like program specific stuff, whether it's the summer program or the master's, I'm also open to. So this is a booking link where you can just like pick a time to have a Zoom call, or if you're more of a typer, you can email me at that. So that's my email and my contact. Good times. Anybody ready to give me a 10-second speech?
Yeah, everybody, we're gonna go around and do elevator pitches.
On the spot. No. All right. I'll let you guys have dinner.
I mean, any questions that anyone has or comments?
All right. I'm gonna take off because my kids are like pointing at their stomachs that they're hungry.
All right, thank you so much, Anna.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night. And I will just hang back for a few minutes. I know it's 6 o'clock, so you know, it's getting late. But if anybody has any questions, I'll hang out.
Yeah, thanks everyone for coming, and thank you, Courtney, for the presentation.
Oh, hopefully it was insightful.
Couple announcements about ESC related events that are coming up. We'll be having a mental health panel later on this weekend, and we'll be sending out an email with more information, like sometime Wednesday, Thursday, I believe. And if you're interested, you can follow us on our social medias, our Instagram, Facebook, and our own personal website. I'll be posting this information in the chat right now. But yeah, thanks again for coming, and thank you, Courtney, for contacting us and helping us bring this event to UCSB.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you. I think most people have signed off. Is there any questions from the audience?
I guess just curious, but what was your first time networking like?
What was that?
What was your first time when you first network?
Mm-hmm.
How was it like for you?
So I think I was really doing that in undergrad. And I just reached out to some people and said, I want to know more about what you do. And it was a really actually good experience. I don't remember ever feeling super uncomfortable doing that. And you know, it almost takes the pressure off when you're kind of just meeting to have a conversation to learn more about what they do. You know, you're not in a job interview. So I actually got breakfast and took them out to breakfast. I wanted to be a genetic counselor actually when I was in undergrad. That didn't pan out, and here I am. But I took a genetic counselor out to breakfast. I found her information on like a professional organization site, and she was in the area. And I just reached out, sent an email. I'm really interested in becoming a genetic counselor. You know, I was really curious about your experience. Would you like to meet up for breakfast? And we did, and it was great. So yeah, it's not as scary as you think it would be. So just, you know, try to take a breath and you know, keep in mind that, you know, this isn't a job interview, right?
That's awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.